session for July 15th, 2015. If you please silence or shut off your cell phone and join us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. We do have additions and deletions to, maybe no deletions, but additions to the agenda. Denise, you want to go over those?
Absolutely. We're going to do action consideration on the building official IGA with Klamath County. Betty Riley is here. She wants to give an update on solar project legislation. And Jake has added a community justice proclamation.
Okay. With that, Jake is not here yet, but our first item is public comment. I actually expected some public, but any public comment at this time? There being none? And Jake walks in just
I missed the phone call.
This guy, man. Welcome, everybody. So we're going to jump right on down to our addition, and we're going to jump right into the proclamation, community justice. Before I read the proclamation, Jake, did you want to say anything?
Absolutely. First off, I'd like to take the time to thank you, the Board of Commissioners, for supporting what we do, both budgetarily and just in your overall support of our department, the Community Justice. As this week, July 12th through the 15th, is being recognized nationally and around the state as Probation Supervision Week. I'd like to take some time and recognize our own Lake County staff. I'm sure you're aware of everybody here. We have, and as you know, we have Zach, who's been with us since February, all the way up to Pam, who's been now with us for 34 years.
And she's only 29 years old?
All right, you're Lake County. So, with that being said, these staff are hardworking, dedicated individuals who work tirelessly for the good of Lake County and its citizens. From our office work, to the field work, to transporting clients, to various treatment programs around the state, both adult and juvenile. Their work, their attitude they bring to work is something to be extremely proud of. It'd be easy for me to stand here and take credit for our lowering recidivism rates for the work we're doing and the successes that come out of our department, but I can't. I can't take credit for any of that because the work is being done by the folks in the trenches, and those folks are right here. So I want to thank you for our support, and I also want to thank our staff for the work they do day in and day out.
Very, very well said, Jake. Yeah. And I'll read the proclamation in a minute, but I too would like to tell everybody thank you. I just got a little bit of update. I haven't set through the drug court yet. That is starting off. It sounds like going to be quite successful. And that when we talk about people getting out of the system, that's a good thing. What all you men and women do on the probation side, it makes a difference to our community. So I'd like to tell you thank you before I read this.
It makes a difference to the community, but it makes a big difference to the individuals
Absolutely.
that you work with. And that's
So I will read Lake County Community Justice Adult and Juvenile Services Proclamation. Whereas Lake County Community Justice is an essential part of the justice system, and whereas Lake County Community Justice professionals uphold the law with dignity while recognizing the right of the public to be safeguarded from criminal activity, and whereas Lake County Community Justice professionals are responsible for supervising adult and juvenile offenders in the community, and whereas the Lake County Community Justice professionals are trained professionals who provide services and referrals to offenders, and whereas Lake County community justice professionals work in partnership with community agencies and groups. And whereas Lake County community justice professionals promote prevention, intervention, and advocacy. And whereas Lake County community justice professionals provide services, support, and protection for victims. And whereas Lake County community justice professionals advocate community and restorative justice. And whereas Lake County community justice professionals are a true force for positive change in their communities. And now therefore, be it resolved that we, the Lake County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim July 12th to the 18th, 2015 as probation and parole supervision week, and encourage all citizens to honor these community justice professionals and recognize their achievements. With that said, thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you're welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting.
I'll just say that the type of work that you guys do, which is excellent, is not commonly perceived it's not known what you guys go through and what you do. And hopefully this proclamation will get into the news media, kind of help educate all of us citizens of Lake County for the good service that you guys do. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Be safe out there. Appreciate it very much. Next on our agenda, we're going to move right to under our additions, which I'm going to ask that to give us a solar project legislation update.
Yes, just kind of as introduction to this, in the last 3 weeks, I have had 4 inquiries from developers who are looking at large solar developments within Klamath and Lake counties, which has, and I'm not sure if it has been triggered by the new legislation that has passed at the state level or not, but the governor has signed into law the House Bill 3492, which basically, just summarizing all of this language, allows a county to select, to basically remove solar projects out of enterprise zone, red zone designation, and allow them to pay a level $7,000 a year for 20 years of property tax with no adjustment over time. It is basically paid into the assessor as part of the tax rolls.
Per megawatt hour.
Per megawatt hour.
Per megawatt.
Megawatt, delivered. So most of the projects I've been talking to are somewhere between 5 to 10. So if you would, with the 10, that would be $70,000 per assessed, flat assessed value. What you as counties, both here in Klamath, have been doing in the last year or so is giving solar developers a waiver on jobs and a in lieu property tax if they select a 5-year property tax abatement, 5 years of $5,000 per megawatt, but then on the year 6, it would go on to the tax rolls at whatever rate the Department of Revenue decides is the value. What we cannot determine, both Larry Holzgang and I have been trying to research, and no one has really been able to give us a clue, because I don't think anyone knows yet, what that value is. And so we can't give you a real fiscal impact. The analysis that AOC did looked at it from the perspective of most of these projects are going on underutilized land that is basically not paying anything or minimal tax into your coffers at this time. And by doing this, it at least gives you a increased basis based on going from very small to, in most cases, $35,000 to $70,000 a year.
So when they done the legislation, they didn't have a comparative of after 5 years, what taxation would be compared to what, except in $7,000 per megawatt for 20 years?
No one that I can find, and I have talked to developers, I've had long conversations with them to see if they know. No one has found anyone who will commit to what that is. No one will give you an estimation of what that is.
Well, and Betty, that's been an issue for a number of years with the Department of Revenue doing the assessments and not being able until that golden moment
Mhm.
to tell us what that is. But it's interesting that you bring this before us today, because Mary Stern and I worked really closely with on this, as well as Representative Benson and his staff, as this was moving along. The belief is, after 20 years, it will be the same. The amount of money generated per megawatt hour production, paid at the $7,000 a megawatt hour over those 20 years, will be the same as what the new taxation would have been after
5 year.
the abatement time. And where they get that, I don't know, but that's everybody's best estimate.
Yeah,
The beauty of this is the leveling,
right.
both for the developer and for the receiving of revenue receipts. You know year in and year out what you get.
Well, like I said, I've had conversations with, they're coming from everywhere. There's someone I talked to from Colorado, someone I talked to from back east, several that are already located here, One Energy, of course, Obsidian, I think, was a major proponent
They were.
of this. And, you know, the ones that are looking to come in basically are trying, the investors are trying to determine, you know, fiscal impact and looking at way. And I actually had the investors on one call last week where they were asking a lot of these questions. My dilemma is that all I have to offer them now of what the system is what you have done in the past, because I haven't had a chance, opportunity, I also haven't had this conversation with climate commissioners, because I wasn't, you know, just now trying to get the information myself. So I need to have something to be able to offer if they're calling me. And right now, what I am telling them is on a case-by-case basis, determined by the commissioners at the time that the project is proposed. And
So there's, and I might not have heard everything you're saying there, but et cetera, you
Sorry.
at the same time, I'm
Right.
sorry, so you might have already said this. So this is an option for us to use.
you
We
can adopt this option for solar projects, and it would be solar projects only.
So if we adopted this, then there wouldn't be no negotiation for a red zone or anything, it would be this only.
It would take it out of the enterprise zone process and make it basically a permanent project with a set assessed amount.
I'm just reading through this, and I'm not, that's the reason why we're talking about it today, not fully versed on it, but it's talking acres here. Whenever taxation comes in on the improvements on it also. And so this is based around, the tax would be about $1,000 per acre by this new formula. Read the second page, and it's saying that it was low-value farmland and it talked about several counties that assessed at approximately $2 per acre. So if they're basing it on just the value of the land, that's not what the red zone or anything is ever
No.
based on. The taxation comes on
It's on the,
personal
it's on
property
the
also.
personal property.
So,
Mary's
that's a little
explained that,
misleading.
Commissioner. Mary's explained that analysis, and that, you know, it takes about 7 acres per megawatt of production. And it's just to show us what those low production lands, low value lands historically collect in taxes versus what we would be averaging. It has nothing to do with the equipment and what that would be after 5 years. It's just, it literally is just a comparison. If we had nothing there for the next 20 years, we're gonna get $40 versus if we did, we're gonna get $7,000 an acre.
I just would really like to have a comparison.
And
Where it's
I wanted,
20 years,
I
5
wanted to
years.
bring that to you, and I cannot get it other than this analysis that was done by AOC. That there's, when my last discussion with, his name is Travis Bryan, his last name is Bryan. He had promised me that he would try to get the information to us that they were using, but we had quite a lengthy discussion about it. And he doesn't, they really don't, there's three methods that they can use. One is depreciation method, one is kind of a level, you know, over assessed value time. And the third is based on value of product, you know, value of what their revenue that they are getting. And from what I understand, in this, because it's a central assessment process done by the state, they can change the method
You
from
bet.
year to year.
You bet. The company has a say in whether they pay on profit or they pay on value as
Right.
well. We're dealing with that with the pipeline.
And
So, yes.
so even if I knew you know, what the depreciated value of a solar farm was, I couldn't guarantee that that would be how they would assess it, is based on depreciation. I could do you a straight line depreciation and kind of, but I don't know.
Well, I guess my little bit of hang up is 20 years, that's a long time.
Mhm.
What happens after 20 years?
In most cases, these projects are either removed or renewed as a new upgraded facility after 20 years. I
So
get,
are you saying if
Yeah.
they renew it, they'd trigger another 20 years?
it would, because it would be our improvements to the equipment and the personal property.
Well, my understanding on that, for what Commissioner Winters is asking, is that would trigger the discussion on whether or not we wanted to go with the same valuation, or if we wanted to, at that point in time.
But if we adopt this, it's.
No,
if
and
it's solar,
my
we
understanding
don't
is
have flexibility, I don't
you
know.
can change your mind.
The contract.
You,
After a project's already established,
No, on the next project.
yes,
Mhm.
project by project.
Project by project, I mean, you can adopt this and put it in place, and then if you decide that it really isn't something you wanna do, you can, and that to me was a little
Yeah.
well, that
wishy-washy.
that puts us in a bad position.
Sure, I know, that's what I said, that's kinda like telling you can, you know,
Opt in or opt out.
oh, darn, I changed my mind.
We like this, we like this
Yeah.
and don't like that one.
Yeah. But in a way, that's what's going on now, because it's almost like you have to negotiate project by project right now.
Yeah.
Can you do me a favor, if you haven't already, can you contact Representative Benz? He is the one that's most likely to be able to answer, he won't answer that question, but he will get with the Department of Revenue
Sure,
and see if he can tie them down any better than anyone else has.
yeah, actually, I tried to find out who to contact, and the phone number I was given didn't work, and
So
so,
he's been
I'll
a
call-
huge
I'll
proponent
talk
of this.
to
He's
the
worked very
representative.
closely with the
Sure.
proponent of the legislation, which is Obsidian.
yes.
They did bring that down, and he has supported it, and like I
Mhm.
said, we've had a handful of phone calls on it, so.
Which really made me curious why Obsidian wanted to push those other projects through before this was passed. But that just is kind of an aside, because you did approve two projects.
Well,
Separate from this.
I will just share with you that I think we will see a desire to have some discussion on that. Not necessarily by us, but by the company.
Uh-huh.
I've talked to them about that already, and they wanna come and visit about that and see
Okay.
what we think.
Okay. Because, you know, they pushed on my side and both in your side to have that approved for a certain date, and I was curious about that.
Yeah, well, they didn't know this legislation would actually see the light of
Yeah.
day when they were pushing it. They were just trying to line up because of all the other investments they had to make and the selling of the power, so.
One of the holdups, and this is more a question that was posed by the commissioners in Klamath, but the projects that have been approved that aren't on the ground yet were approved by Pacific Power under their RFP process, and then they acquired a whole lot of solar through their regular PERPR contracts, and are now delaying signing those contracts through the RFP process because they're more expensive than the solar they're already bringing in. And so I think they are obligated still to sign those contracts, but they've been very slow in doing so. And it's the same with the geothermal project.
So, on this $7,000 per megawatt, I'm trying to read it.
Mhm.
Is that split between taxing districts?
It is into the regular assessed, as opposed to your community service fee, which is into the general fund.
Okay, so whichever taxing districts are in the area that the solar.
Right, so if it was a
Gonna be
Christmas Valley project, it would be the
Split with those
districts.
taxing
Yeah.
districts.
They would, give it to the schools up there and the fire district and
Health district.
airport and whoever else is on the tax rolls.
The county.
County, yes, I,
Yeah.
here in Lakeview, a project inside, well, it would have to be within the city limits, correct? For Lakeview to receive, or the urban,
And we wouldn't have anything to do with that. The
Right.
town of Lakeview would run
Right.
through their planning process.
right.
So today's for information, not for us to adopt.
No,
this
because
today.
I didn't figure you would have enough, I don't have enough information,
Yeah,
but other than to raise it as something that I would like to have clarity on as soon as possible, so I can get back to these folks and let them know. They're all trying to convince me of why it's a good economic development project, and from my perspective, they really aren't that much of an economic development project. They're more of a renewable energy distributed generation, which is a good thing, but it's not a job creation project.
No, the potential leveling of the revenues can be economic development.
From
how we use those
and how you
revenues.
use those revenues, right?
Exactly.
So, those are the perspectives of it, but I didn't expect you to be able to make a decision today. And I can't come with a recommendation other than a desire to be able to have clarity soon.
Yeah.
Is there any timeframe of essence?
I don't believe so. There are a couple of projects in Klamath that are ready to be put on the ground, and so I may have to push on their side of it a little bit to see how they feel about it, because they are projects that are time sensitive in some
Yeah,
cases.
this doesn't even take effect till the 91st day after
Right,
legislature, so it's,
yeah, no, yes, and we're into, I think, about the 30th, almost 30 days since it was adopted. I don't know when the governor signed it, but it was before the end of
Mhm.
June.
Yeah. Very good, Betty.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
interesting. The 20-year thing's only my thing, just, that's a long time.
Yeah,
The aspect of us decide, any individual that come, we can institute this, or we can institute the other, we have that discretion.
you have that discretion, so if you get into it, even I guess I would say that if you, I don't know if you have any projects that will be coming on the tax rolls at all? Do you, that have been
Yeah.
abated?
We have one next year.
So by next year, you may have a better idea of what that tax roll impact would be to you as a county. And at that point in time, you could look at it and say, we're giving away funds or we're
Yeah,
not.
well, I think the problem, Betty, you hit it, they can value it a number of different ways. When it comes on the tax rolls, this particular project, it's gonna be at its highest value.
Mhm.
And it's gonna be difficult until, only, not until, but only if someone can say no, for the next 15 years after that abatement, it's going to value at this, or it's gonna depreciate at this, that we could sit down and actually do the math and figure it out. I'll be real frank, I appreciate Commissioner Winter's, concern with that, I'm sure Commissioner Kestner has the same. I look at it as a bird in the hand, it's a reasonable value.
Mhm.
Is it as reasonable as what we would know after 20 years? I've got no idea. I hope we can get some information
And
that,
that's
tells us.
what I will continue to research
Sure.
on your behalf.
Well, it will be interesting in another year, because the way I take it is the developers, no way would be pushing for this unless it was a savings for them.
That is,
And they have full analogy of the whole thing that they're probably not disclosing to us.
but there's another thing from the investor point of view that I have learned, they're willing to go in if they know certainty.
that's,
And it may not be too much of a difference of what they would pay over time, but at least they can say for certain. And they can run their return on investment numbers based on certain impacts. And that is,
That's
you know,
big.
It's money driven.
it is money driven,
Well, like.
but investment money
Yeah,
too.
like any big company, using one that we deal with frequently, he has to go out and get investors
Mm-hmm.
to buy into it. And it's difficult when you don't, you can say, okay, 3 or 5 years tax abatement or whatever. But when the state central assessment office gets in, the investors don't know anything of where it's gonna go, so it's behooved them to get something.
I guess I'm just talking way too much today maybe, but whenever we have a lot of jobs associated with it, we give like a 15-year incentive and things. We do that for the jobs. Whenever and I support solar, but when we have solar that creates only short-term jobs and they got 20 years of tax abatement compared to the ones that create jobs, it's a little bit strong.
I did ask the question when I was at my meeting with Mr. Bryan, where he was buying panels from and he is buying them from USA-based companies. Not necessarily USA owned, but USA-based companies. The other impact is, really at the installation stage, where you do have some economic benefit to the local, because most of them are being installed. Wainema Electric has brought on 4 staff who specialize in solar. And there are other companies in the region that are.
And did you follow up on that? Wainema has brought on 4 staff, because when I talked to them last time, they hadn't brought on 4 staff. They had some people that specialize in, and some part-time people that, with solar. But
They may have been part-time working on solar, but that was the testimony they gave a year ago in Klamath County, from.
yeah, it's been probably close to that long since I phoned them.
So,
That's good news.
Yeah.
That's good news.
And I think we might find that the different projects, as we've been discussing, might merit a different decision. But I agree with you on the job creation part, but we have a project just out here west of town that potentially under this could generate upwards of, on an annual basis, guaranteed for 20 years, no lease discussion, just the
Megawatts.
No, but
megawatt.
we can check that one out because they didn't do the red zone. Pacific Board did not do the red zone.
Right.
Yeah, and that is
We
What do
one,
you mean?
they are not in
They chose not.
No, I'm talking about another one.
Okay,
Another
but,
potential one.
the other potential one, yeah.
Yeah,
But
where
we
I'm
should
going
go
with
check
that,
out taxation there.
but where I'm going with that is it doesn't always have to be about the jobs created by that project specifically that hires people, other than during construction. It can be what we do with that money in the form of job creation. And we'll use the airport, the improvements, the potential new business, the potential other business that comes as a result of that business may create some of those jobs. So I think we have to look at the whole thing, not just, when we're talking about it.
But are you talking the $7,000 megawatt or the lease to the county of the dollars?
No, I'm talking about the megawatt, not the lease. Yeah.
So Betty, you're gonna follow up, trying to get some more information?
I will try, like I said, has been elusive information. but,
Yeah.
I can understand the investors' need for certainty.
And it would ease some of the pressure of having to schedule meetings with every project, because you would just have a process with the And that-
Efficiency.
that would be efficient, especially if there's as many projects potential out there as I'm hearing about. So,
For Lake County?
both Lake and Klamath is how they're putting it. They don't always specify where at this point in time. They are inquiring for both counties. So,
Okay,
Thanks, Betty.
thank you.
thank you very much,
Yeah,
Betty.
keep us abreast.
Yes.
Okay, so moving right along, that's perfect timing. It is, that clock's off just about 1 minute, so we're gonna say it's exactly 10:30. We're gonna open up, we have to open this up as a public hearing, yes. We're gonna open up the public hearing on ordinance number 110, model code update continued. So Darwin, if you'd like to come up. When we continue this, we need to have one more public hearing, plus we have questions. I know that you've done some work. I've printed off the email that we received.
So
Go ahead and give us-
unfortunately, we're gonna have to continue this again. It's gonna be my assumption, because at first I got an email and with how that taxation would work on properties that will likely need to be rezoned because they won't fit under the new zoning ordinance language, which allows them to be reviewed administratively for a dwelling in areas that comprehensive plan designates as either farm residential or rural residential, but our zoning ordinance currently has them as an exclusive farm use zone. When we switch that, the email I originally got from a tax assessor said that there would be no change in the taxation until the use changes. But then our assessor forwarded back the email that I sent to each of you and to Jim Bailey trying to confirm that. And it included the ORS and OAR language in 308 and, well, they're both 308, but for that language, but we don't have a clear answer now, at least in my opinion. And I haven't heard yet from Jim Bailey on this, so again, we're gonna need to continue this.
The caution that came in the email, I've used the word caution because that's exactly what was used in there, was,
Yeah.
I exactly, I guess I let you do your review, then I'll ask for public comment, then I'll close the
Yeah,
hearing.
no, that's good.
Are you done with
Yeah,
that?
I think, the mapping, will have to get changed, and I've discussed that pretty in depth, and, hopefully with clarity, but, I know a lot of it's still unclear completely for me, because we've got a unique situation, which I've said, that when a comprehensive plan doesn't match up with the zoning ordinance, when the zoning ordinance is supposed to be implementing what, our comprehensive plan says, then you've kind of got an interesting situation there. And my thought all along had been that it was, done that way to try to, maybe circumvent or get around this taxation issue and still allow people to use their land for farm uses. And the interesting thing is our zoning ordinance for, even industrial zones and these other rural center zone, the farm residential zone, the rural residential zone, they all allow for farm use outright. So if it's an outright permitted use, it seems like you'd still be able to get a special assessment in that farm deferral, but I'm not sure. It's a little unclear, but the second email, when I went to that ORS 308A .113, and it says land shall be disqualified from exclusive farm use in that deferment. That's not what that language says, so I'm wondering if there's a misquote there in that email back to us, or at least a misreference to which ORS is saying that, so. Because the ones that I read, the first one that I sent to you guys, sound like, it doesn't change until the use changes, not the zoning, so.
Well, is there any public comment on the zoning hearing that's open? I'm going to go ahead and close the hearing at 10:34. And so Darwin, now we'll have dialogue between us. That's good information you just gave, your interpretation of 3088.113. You'll clarify that with Mr. Bailey and have the legal opinion of what that one means. Maybe it wasn't misquoted, but it looks obvious to me that with this information that we're going to continue the hearing, and that seems to be your recommendation also.
And I really feel like we need to get the DLCD here looking at our maps, or at least me go to them and show them our maps and show them our current language and they all obviously know what's proposed, but make sure they're fully understanding, I've discussed it with them, but not being able to, visually, they may need to see it to really understand.
Well, if you went there or they come here, but if you went, you can electronically
Yeah,
bring it up.
Yeah, and I've
I
sent
showed
some
it.
examples, so
Yeah.
it's a matter of.
We have our next
understanding it.
full board meeting is August 5th. That's quite a bit of time between now and then. Should be able to let you, how are we doing on?
There's a chance we're good on timeframes and stuff. I just might not be in town
Are you here on the
that
4th?
week.
The day before?
I
Are you
probably won't
talking
be
that
gone
whole
until
week?
Thursday.
Okay, so our next would be the 19th.
Yeah.
Does that still keep us in the time frame?
Yeah, we're fine, I mean, this is, it's gonna be open until you guys, you know,
So what
make a
we can
decision.
do is continue the hearing until, because you have to be here for
Yeah,
it,
I need to be,
until August 19th, regular session.
yeah. And we better have
Yeah,
absolute final.
the taxation
let's be done with
issue
this.
needs,
Oh, yeah.
we need to be.
Yeah, it's a big issue though, and I think what I'm gonna also do between now and then is also do a actual full study on some of these areas and just see if anyone's even in farm patrol right now. Cause my assumption is I said this before in last meeting, that I bet high 95% of them are in farm patrol already.
Well,
Just-
I think you're gonna have to take the properties that are within this change, and we're gonna have to check on every one of them to find out.
And it might require that we do full noticing to them and have public hearings on when we do change the maps.
Yes.
So, there's a lot to it. The language is still not gonna change. That's, I mean, when it comes down to it, we could adopt the language, but we still have to figure out what it's gonna really mean to people. And then what's the process, how we're gonna handle this. It's either, you know, we're gonna hold public meetings and allow them time to comment and tell them that, hey, we're taking your zone is changing, and this law is gonna say you have to change your farm deferral status, or we're gonna allow them to say, no, I'd rather stay in the farm deferral and please change the comp plan mapping to match what I was zoned at, so there's a lot to it, we'll get there.
So consensus of the board is to continue the hearing till 10:30 on the 19th of August.
Okay, thank
You guys just aren't meeting in 2 weeks on the July, whatever.
No.
Oh, that's fine, it's my birthday.
If you run into some time frames, or if you
Yeah, I'll let you
become
know.
aware of something, we could run a special meeting
Yeah.
if we had to. We'll
Appreciate
understand
that.
time
Yeah,
frames
I'll let
for
you
all
know.
the work that's been done. Thank you, Darrell.
That's only if we have to.
All right. We're going to move to Jennifer, building official ID. Because you need to recover, Dave. You need to rest.
I need to stand up.
Didn't stand up.
You stand out, but I don't know about standing up. Jennifer, building official IGA, we've already had some discussion on this. You're getting some verbiage change, I believe. Give us a
Yep,
update if you will.
we changed the expiration date to say this agreement shall not expire unless terminated in accordance with section 2. So either party can decide to terminate it. They have to give 30-day notice to either or party. We did not did not include anything about the hearings officer portion because Klamath County hasn't fully decided what they're doing there yet. And then I've also sent it on to Jim Bailey. He reviewed what we changed and he reviewed the consideration as far as payment. And he said it looked good.
No inflation.
No, it all stayed the same.
Tip for the audience, this is, we contract with the agreement for Klamath County Building Official to provide service here. That contract have expired essentially, and we renew it.
Yep.
And just cleaning up the contract.
Yep, this is the contract for building official duties on its own.
Yes.
Plan review and inspections have been already, they're the same verbiage.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the intergovernmental agreement between Lake and Klamath Counties, contract number 2015-06B. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thanks for working on that, Jim.
Yeah,
Getting it all
thank
done.
you.
And I
I'm hoping to be able
understand,
to send it with the inspector today
great.
over to Klamath County.
I was talking to Commissioner Belay last Friday, he was over, met with me, and it sounds like they're moving fairly quickly on the other.
Oh, on the
part of it,
hearing,
so
okay,
Hopefully we'll get that before us here in the
Yeah.
next month or so.
yep, okay.
Thank you very much, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Now we got this long document from Public Health that we'll wait until after Dave. Come on up, Dave. We have emergency facilities and land use agreement. Give us a quick overview, Dave.
Yes, we want to go into an agreement with the Fremont Winona Forest Service, just to have the ski hill, the base, for fires. If a fire breaks out, we can already be in agreement, so they can get right to work if there's a fire. So we wanted to get an agreement in place, so if they maybe use it as a base camp for fires.
In the agreement, as you pointed out with the new update, shows that utilities are not included.
Yeah,
in the
utilities are not included,
daily.
it just, that they bring in their own utility generators, water shower, mobile, all that, so they take care of all that, so if they did have to go into our electric or our utilities, then we'd make agreement as that.
We just clock what it is, and they clock what it's out. And just for the audience, Warner Ski Hill is run by a nonprofit, but the property is owned by the county, and that's why this is coming to the county, not to the ski club.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve agreement number AG-05-B-B-15-5003 in the matter of emergency facilities and land use agreement.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve agreement as stated. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And it looks like it's just for me as the chair to sign.
That's what it looks like
That's
to
what
me.
it looks like to me.
A few spots.
Looks like to me too. And the rental fee for the space would come to the county.
Yes.
Will that not end up going to this EL?
Well, that's up to us, but I'm
Yeah.
sure that we would
Yeah.
donate it back
I
to
think
them for
last
their
time we did
operation.
that agreement, we did that.
Well, that's a discussion point to be
Right.
had.
Yes.
No, I'm talking to myself.
But if we was to do that, then we'd have to go into another agreement
With the ski club.
with ski club involved in.
Commissioner,
Yes.
would you mind if I ask Dave just to stay put for a second and give us, we can do it under department updates, just, we had some good discussion this morning, don't mean to put you on the spot, but on these ongoing projects for the audience here, as to what's going on.
Yeah, we're, the old library, the remodel is moving forward. We're putting ceilings in, we're getting ready to put carpets in.
When you say the library, you're talking about the annex,
The remodel of the,
remodeling where the
I
library
gotta
used to
get out of
be.
the habit of quit calling it the library, but that's just kind of what I refer to as the old old library. I guess we're not remodeling the library, I guess. We're remodeling where the old
Courthouse.
library used to be.
I just want to make sure that person
Right.
sitting on the end,
Sure.
knows what we're talking about.
But it's moving forward, heating, cooling, and they've kind of got to work together. There's times where DeVry will have to stop the heating, cooling because they've got something installed and vice versa. They have DeVry stop because they got to put their lines in, just easier before they put the ceiling in and stuff like that, but they've been working very well together. And they're both here on site right now, working, professional heating and cooling and DeVry. And next week, they'll be putting in where the boardroom is. So they're gonna, and they'll probably be coming talking to you and asking you guys questions on your table that you work in there, because they're starting to install that. And before they button it down tight, they want you guys to all look at it and see if it's something that you guys can work with it on your duties.
They should give us all 3 different opinions.
Yes.
That's what I told them, I said, good luck.
Usually there's 2 opinions at least.
So, and they plan on putting carpet in after they get the doors in, windows, and the ceiling. They don't wanna put the carpet in while they're doing overhead stuff, finish painting, and they've got some, finish up, touch-up work to do. They were postponed a little bit on the exterior door, just time frame of getting it built and the stairs built. They don't wanna really put the door all the way in without the stairs there, which they will. No, it's not a showstopper, but they would like for it to, the stairs at least be in before the door totally goes in, just for safety.
The stairs.
For the exterior
Exit.
door, yeah, for the emergency exit out the back.
And they'll have to take out the other door before they can put the ramp in. The ramp's up
Right,
in
and
the
then,
back.
and actually that'll be all taking place next week.
Yeah. And you talked about the heating cooling?
Not to what we did this morning, but they're moving forward, they're
They're
getting
here
all the-
today.
Yeah, they're here today on site, they're putting all the units in, finishing that in, and then they're gonna put the outside in, this way when they get the outside units in, they can fire it up and start troubleshooting.
Okay.
So that'll be middle of next week as well. As you guys know, I'll be gone next week, I didn't tell you, I'm sorry, so I'll be gone next week, I'll be leaving tomorrow, and I'll be gone a week, but I've made arrangements with all the contractors.
Well, if there's an issue comes up, who do the contractor contact?
Me.
By cell phone?
Yeah, and then I'll give them the direction they need to be, unless it's an immediate emergency. I told them to come find Junior or you guys, or if, you know.
Everything will be good.
So just one other quick item, Dave. You know, we've been talking about our newly refurbished memorial, and I know you've had plans to put benches around there. How are we doing with some of that?
Well, I'm still deciding on what benches, we're still kinda, and then waiting for the plaques to come in, and then they're being built, and they should be in actually. Probably, I'm gonna say next week they should be done, 'cause it was a 6 weeks project.
Yeah.
So they should be coming in, but we need to sit down figure out what actual benches do we want out there. I do have the old benches from the old courthouse being powder coated as we speak. They're in the shop now getting recoated and refurbished, so they look nice and they'll be solid. And then, so we need to determine before Veterans Day is kind of how I'm doing, that's my point of what we want out there, for sure, 100%. So I've got some ideas on benches and I'll run them by before.
Well, two things I'm gonna say here. Once again, I'm gonna thank you for your leadership in getting that done, because it's been a work in progress for 7, going on 8 years. And you've provided great leadership and brought a lot of people in to get that done. Second, when would be a good time? Kurt's here today. I thought Jimmy was gonna be here, but
He's on vacation all
I
this week.
figured you probably sent him on vacation. I think it would be good, and I'd mentioned that to Jimmy before, to have the examiner meet with you and talk about how this all took place and got accomplished.
Okay.
So,
And I'd like to extend, I was able to pass by late at night, not late at night, but after dark, to see the floodlights on. It was very impressive.
Yes, it
So
is.
special thanks goes to Carl Tracy on that aspect. Special thanks goes to Rob Thurman and his crew that he contracted to put in the paving. And special thanks to James Moore for the rock.
And I feel the VFW Hall as well for getting part of their donation that they did when they did their fundraiser.
Yeah.
I think that should be.
well, that's the thing I think you can capture, because you've been the project lead on this from the beginning. You got it taken care of finally, so, thanks.
Great, and the people that done the hard work on it, where the original rock come from, there's a lot of people.
Yep.
Make sure you
Mhm.
capture all of it. If you would. All right.
Matter of fact, even a thank you letter to Carl Tracy and Rob Thurman and James could be in line. Something that they can show their grandkids at a later date.
Sure, yeah, I did that. And then, I don't have any really more part of that, but the airport's moving, you know, for the Connect 5 project to start on the 20th. They did move it out a week. I
Yes.
think you got the email, because
Yeah.
something to do with a little bit of the paper from the FAA.
Well, it's the award of funds, because we can't get reimbursed for anything we do prior to those award
Right.
funds being signed.
Right.
Which I was glad to see Derek point out that the weather could be an issue.
Okay.
So,
Because, yeah, it's, if we don't get it going soon, we're gonna have to wait, or I don't know what we're gonna do, because
yeah,
if the weather goes bad, we can't pave. That's just the way it is around here.
yeah,
You don't want to put it down in the wrong temperature.
that's right.
Not for the investment in the
Absolutely not a
material.
$3.5 million project.
Yep.
So,
Thank you.
okay.
Be a nice week without you in our
I know.
world. you enjoy your vacation.
No, I will.
Enjoy your granddaughter.
My granddaughter.
That can be awesome for
You
you.
guys telling Denise this morning, I'm just gonna focus on her and spoil her with everything.
There you go.
Whatever she wants, she's gonna get.
I didn't send her back to the
Within reason.
Yeah.
Gonna figure out what that is.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
We'll go back up to Public Health, Oregon Health Authority contract. Mary stopped in this morning. She is unable to attend. She's on jury duty. So this has been ran by legal counsel. This is where most all, or a lot of her funding comes through. Like I said, legal counsel reviewed it, they're good with it. He had questioned a couple blanks on it. He got clarification on that. I can't point out exactly where those were. And so when she followed up with him, he was okay with the way it's together and recommends for us to approve. So,
With that, I move that we accept the Oregon Health Authority 2015 through 2017 intergovernmental agreement for the financing of public health services, agreement number 148017, as given.
I'll second it.
motion's been made and seconded to approve agreement as said. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Meeting minutes is our next item. And we have 4 sets, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
We have June 30th, July 1st. Oops, I'm backwards. June 16th, 17th, June 30th, and July 1st. And there's been correction on the legal updates of June 17th that you should have copies and highlighted. Denise probably gave out to you all
Yes,
this, I believe.
yes, I saw it.
So, were we all at all these meetings?
Dan was absent from the 16th.
Okay.
One meeting, one of you was here in the morning, and one of you was here in the afternoon, so
No.
it's just noted in the minutes, but I didn't count you as absent. 'Cause you-
So I'll move to approve June 16th, 17th, June 30th, or July 1st with correction of June 17th as presented to us under legal updates.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 I'll abstain for the 16th.
And I don't believe I need to abstain from any of
You gonna do any quick whiz on that, Vince? or-
I haven't got there yet.
Okay.
Meeting minutes. I do need information. Order the antelope, what was it, last weekend, they had an OLCC, I wanted license for a short term. I signed that. I wanted to document that in the record that it was signed, just sort of ratified that. So I signed that so they could go on with their function. I needed to note that. Legal updates, we have none today. Liaison updates, yes, let's hit us with it, Commissioner.
Did you wanna talk at all about yesterday's field trip?
I can let you, I was just the driver, I was the chauffeur.
You were the driver. Well, we took a field trip yesterday with the forest soup. The plan was to also have the forest engineer there. She wasn't able to make it, but we covered a lot of country as well as a lot of subject area, from roads to trails to signage to recreation areas to existing forest facilities to forest health work, to some of the prescribed burning that's been going on, all sorts of different things. I think it was more than worth our time. I think the forest soup, Connie Cummings, really appreciated the trip and the opportunity to have a lot of discussion on how we can, as a county, help move things forward. That's the short version. I
had time to go and make the tour with you and appreciate that. it was a very productive day from as far as I'm concerned. I was quite impressed with the forest supervisor, Connie Cummings' commitment to the forest here, commitment to Lake County, is just visiting with her, and openness to talk about from forest health to fire to roads to everything. Educational for me to find out what the road budget is shocking to know. They basically, on the forest side, it's a little over $600,000 a year. That's where we come in as visiting with our congressmen and senators to let them know, you know, our forest needs more money out here to be able to just bring it to just to stabilize it, just
Beyond just patchwork.
They're losing their infrastructure on the roads, on that part of it. We go to the forest health, we've seen some good projects out there. We've seen the places where that it's tough, that they haven't been able to get to. You know, there's some logging that we've seen up there that was pretty darn good, some brush piling and things. It was very good, but when you think of over 1 million acres in Lake County on the Fremont side of it, I think 1.5 or 1 million this year, I can't remember.
Well, there's 1 point, almost 5, but a lot of that's private, it's about $1 million.
There's a lot to do out there. There's just a lot to do. It was really a good trip. Anytime that the forest supervisor spends the time, it's appreciated, and we try to make sure that she knew that we appreciated taking a whole day with her.
On the forest soup, from day one, I've been impressed that she's has the community at heart, and I'm hearing good things from our congressional reps in relation to the forest soup also.
Yeah.
If you don't have any more on that,
Go ahead.
Just tomorrow and Friday, the Lakeview Stewardship Group will be meeting, we'll be going on, we just got an update on a pretty lengthy field trip tomorrow, looking at a variety of projects. It's gonna go up the 28 road, ironically. It was going to North Warners as of last night from Jim Wells, but Mike Ty corrected that. We're actually gonna go over to that Ben Young Creek project.
Oh, good.
Kinda saw yesterday. And then we'll be having an office meeting up until noon on Friday out at the Lakeview Ranger District. Day before yesterday, we had a great meeting, I felt like, on a cohesive strategy over at the Oregon State Extension Office involving multiple groups from the 2 counties, Lake and Klamath. I felt like in working with Amy Marcus, it was important to involve Klamath County, since we do have a lot of our resource work headquartered out of Lakeview that actually impacts Klamath County. And so we were able to bring a lot of different, for the initial meeting, groups together, and we really owe a debt of gratitude to Joe Stutler and Katie Lighthall out of the Bend area for coming down and facilitating the meeting. So went really good. See, a week from Monday, I will be, I've mentioned this a couple of times, but I'll be in Ashland for our National Wildland Fire Leadership Council meeting. We'll be there till Thursday morning over there, so that's what I've got.
You have anything else, Brad?
Yeah, I give a quick update. Our transportation systems plan for our road system around here. We had public hearings last week. Can't remember what the work group is called. I don't remember the acronym, but anyways, we met. Then we had the public meeting in the Memorial Hall that evening. We only had 3 attend. One was a granddad and his grandson, so I'm not sure if we can count all 3, but anyways. So I went ahead and made the trip up to Christmas Valley the next night for the next hearing with the road official, and we had 2 people attend there. A little disappointed in the amount of public that came, but that's all right. As we're working on this, as it's work in progress, if we can get road projects listed on there, there's no money, there's no nothing attached to it. From county roads to state highways, then if funding becomes available, if it's in your transportation plan, a lot of times you move up the ranking because it's part of your vision for the future. actually kept the S-curve in Christmas Valley on the plan, as we'd like to be able to address that someday. On the Highway 140, length restrictions, kept that on there. Keeping bicycle routes as a general as part of the plan. Make sure to mention the airport railroad, trying to cover every aspect. So if you think of anything that we, and sidewalks and keeping in the plan also, anything that we may not have thought of, we want to make sure and get it in there. There's still plenty of time. So if either one of you have any thoughts.
Do you have an ongoing list of what's already?
I do not, but Matt Kittleson is the engineer firm. He kept a list of everything, and Rick should have access to that. He can coordinate it with Ronnie or with Rick. Any comments should go to Ronnie or even Christie also. Ronnie's been sort of the lead on this, but either one of the office. So that's going to be a good thing. Hopefully someday there's some transportation funding. You never do know. In the executive, changing gears a little bit, still transportation. Executive board meeting for the area committee on transportation. Last week we talked about the STIP for 1821, I can't remember, projects out to there and the funding. The funding's so limited. We will do a process. I'm just sort of, you guys know quite a bit of it, narrowing it down. It's going to be a challenge. Enhance or fix it. There'll be very few enhanced dollars, and a lot of other small amount of dollars should go towards to fix it. The other part of it was we had an update on Connect Oregon 6, which is was approved through the legislature. It's at 40. I want to say 45 or 48 million. That's less than what it was last year. It will be a very strict process. It'll be similar to before. Bike and head and trails are still in the Connect Oregon process. Personally, I wish they'd take that money set aside so they went for their money and the fix it and other projects were, and the model projects were on the other Connect Oregon like it used to be.
Well, with your negotiating skills,
Well,
we're relying on that.
well, now that gets to what I'm trying to find out for sure, and I was on the phone with Butch, the area manager for ODOT today, is that conflict of interest, which we've never had a conflict of interest before. I always ask for that definition. Well, the railroad will be putting in for one for our railroad, and now it's more specific about conflict of interest. Can't be on the decision-making. So I'm getting clarification for that, and it's not only me in Lake County, but most acts have a commissioner as the chair.
Yeah.
So projects within their county and everything, they could have a possible conflict of interest. So I'm getting that clarified, because of I've been through it, so I have some expertise. If it eliminated us there, we'd have to have somebody else carry the ball, and that might be a challenge
Yeah.
within itself.
Yeah.
So that's yet to be determined, but there's money there. Connect Oregon 6, we will be looking at. I've talked to Rob DeDelius for our railroad. We'll be looking at the bridges, and so we've been very lucky. We've gotten 2 on a railroad, so to get the third one will be a challenge possibly, but we have done this in phases, so as we negotiate, we can talk about the phasing of where we're trying to get.
Yes, exactly.
So I'll probably be quiet for a while and talk.
Well,
about
you
this.
said something, and I know Commissioner Kessler's got some things, but Dave let me know this morning, he may or may not have had a chance to talk to you guys, but Rob did make a hire on the new local manager, and it's, I think, gonna be a great one. It's,
I may have been called on that one. I didn't know they hired for sure, but that's 90%.
A local person. And knowing this person, you have to get introduced to the railroad, but he has a broader background, I think he'd be good.
he has relationships with everybody that we deal with along that rail line.
And that's what the crew out there needed, is one good leadership foreman that's in charge. And I think
We'll
we can have it.
find out, but
Maybe
everything aligned
Maybe.
apparently.
maybe you can do something about tooting the horn at night.
That'd probably be I did wanna mention, cause I don't believe, Dan was called, Senator Wyden will be at the senior center at 5:30 this
18th.
Saturday. I asked, Wayne if we were gonna get any meet and greet time, he said no, so it'll just be the public. Did he ask for you to introduce him or? Okay. So,
And I let Wayne know that wild horses would be on the topic of discussion. And he was
we don't
good
have
with
any
that.
wild horses, there's nothing.
Wild feral horses.
Wild fair horses. That's the first time you missed it.
Yeah. Anything else?
I'm good.
Well, I hope, yeah, I've got something on that. I hope I don't do anything to our relationship with Senator Wyden's office, but I will probably be chatting with Mayor Gautreaux. It's getting a little frustrating that Wayne doesn't seem to be able to share information with everybody. I've asked him a number of questions within the last 6 to 8 months and gotten 0 replies, so I'm gonna share a little bit of my frustration with that office.
And I did need, thank you for that, I did need to, next week, I will be, on a doctor's follow-up on Tuesday, I'll be gone. And then Thursday and Friday, I have family reunion, I'll be away, but available by phone. So, go ahead with your story.
As you know, last week we composed and signed a letter of support for what's going on with the North Health Lake District. As you know, their contracted doctor and office manager is retiring in this month. So they've been searching for a replacement, and they're working with Lapine Community Health Facility, which they asked me up to attend a session where they kind of introduced that subject, and I was very impressed. I told them all along, all 3 commissioners strongly supportive of all our medical facilities, and especially the one up there. Last week, went on a tour with Sewer Water Conservation District and Watershed Council on some projects they had. I was very impressed with several of them, especially a meadow reclamation. But it was doing very good work.
We stopped yesterday at Thomas Creek Bridge, the Cox Flat.
Yep.
Quite impressed, it was all precast and everything, and
Precast, well, then.
even the side,
Yep.
what do you call that?
The buttress,
Yeah.
support.
Yeah, the watershed, those ladies, and now it's one, I guess, well, they were both still involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you it was a good tour.
It was very interesting. We've always been supportive of it, but haven't had a chance to get out and actually see what they're doing.
Yeah.
That was impressive. Last week I also attended the Klamath-Lake Forest Health Partnership Group. They formed back in 1992, and they were just kind of re-meeting. And they attended the cohesive, I'm sure. Their philosophy and their strategy is right in line with the cohesive, so they should have met real good right there. A week or so ago, the Lake County Partnership Group is kind of like a downtown urban revitalization group that I kind of partake in. Had a public meeting over in the Senior Center, and I was impressed. It was about, I don't know, 30, 40 folks there.
That's probably the reason why we didn't have anybody there in TSP.
Yeah.
The same night.
But this group is basically kind of like a downtown revitalization, but they're not focused just on the downtown, it's community partnership. As you know, I was gone yesterday, the day before, Southeast Oregon BLM Management Resource Advisory Group. It used to be on when I first came on here, but there's 2 topics that caught my attention. I just happened to hear it on the radio the week before, or as I whatever caught it. One was sage grouse and one was wild feral horses. I wasn't so keen on the sage grouse because I'm already up to speed on that, but the one on the feral horses had to do with different means of fertility control. As you know, we got anywhere from 1,200 to horses out there, and they just they breed year round now, basically, as opposed to forward.
So was the meeting, were they talking about solutions or?
As you know, wild horses is a hot potato, nobody really wants to deal with it. It's a very strong advocacy group that has Congress here, and anything to do. The biggest topic, they tried a PZP thing in the past to control fertility, and it doesn't really work, not cost benefit. Spading is one. Basically, unfortunately, they didn't have a quorum to make a decision, but you can't, the problem is you can't take the horses off because there's no place to put the horses. So the other option is controlling the reproduction rate while you try to get some off. And that was the key topic of what options. OSU is looking at several different options. The Resource Advisory had proposed an option. All of these have to be kind of research study, which means time. But basically to finesse the spaying of mares, the Shelton Refuge had a great facility, and they did many horses down there with very high success, you know, low mortality and whatever. Well, as soon as they got rid of their horses, they abandoned, demolished, or decommissioned that facility. So the biggest thing out of the group yesterday was support and letter writing or from the Resource Advisory Council up through the chain to try to get the BLM management to get more engaged in reproduction control.
Did you have any talks about the potential suit that's going against them now for collecting, there's, I forget which group it is, that they're saying that they're only collecting certain,
On the Kiger bird?
yeah,
Yeah.
certain quality of horses.
Genetically
So
master
so
breeding.
yeah, so that they can be adopted out better.
Yeah.
That just seemed like quite a stretch to me, but they have to deal with so many off-the-wall things.
Yeah, the act itself, as you were, Wild Horse Bird Act says, maintain the genetic aspect of the wild horses.
Most people would want to have good genetics.
Yeah, but how that is interpreted will end up by a judge, as most everything does. As you're also aware, on the Sage Grouse, Sage Con, ODFW will be here next Tuesday, 7/21, 7 p.m., Memorial Hall, for public information sharing of what their Oregon administrative rules would be before it goes to the commission.
Yeah.
Next day, they'll have the same.
Yeah, I'm going to hopefully make it back for my doctor's appointment for, have you prepared or anything to add to the record, or is there anything we need to have to the record? I would really like to see, personally, when we met with them, I'd like to see for them at least have it in there as a goal is predation. I really think that they're missing that. Now, they say in their other plan or whatever, but if they're gonna do it specific for sage grouse, I think minimum, and it's not asking for a lot, just asking for a goal to address predation in the future.
Yeah. That will, on the sage grouse meeting on Monday afternoon of the resource predation was a big topic. It's,
So if I don't make it, would you?
I'll bring it up.
Bring it up and have it part of the official record?
And also, this is just a public meeting to introduce, and then the following week, the commission of ODFW will meet in Selma, and I'll be there, and I'll be bringing that topic up also.
Perfect.
Meanwhile, the LCD, Land Conservation and Development Commission meeting will be next Thursday or sometime of 7/23 in Burns, and I'll be at that one too.
That's on the 23rd?
That's 23rd.
It is. the 23rd, and I'm slated for my family reunion. That's when we're gonna make that, but you'll be there representing all of us.
Now, the scenario is, we have one county official focused, all of us are concerned about how any of this affects our economy and the citizens. One county official is looking how OARs affects the county. In a complementary fashion, I'm looking how the ESA, the Endangered Species Act, if we don't get a full D rule, would affect our community, which is much, much worse by my experience and knowledge.
Yeah, after I read that, and it's called what?
4D rule.
4D, yeah.
4D.
For anybody that hadn't been through the federal side like you guys, that doesn't mean nothing to us. Whenever you talked about it up in Burns, it's like,
What's that?
What's 4D?
So that's why I came back and sent a copy of it.
Yeah, so that
And
seems
4D
important.
is, whether we get it or not, is very heavily tied to whether the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service consider our OARs adequate or not. If we water it down too much, we don't get 4Ds, and then we're subject directly to
Yeah,
Endangered Species Act.
sounds like that has to stay in the forefront.
Yeah. I'm very concerned. Like I mentioned to you, I went through the spotted owl, and all my friends, loggers, and it was devastating.
Yeah, the only thing worked about their whole plan there was to eliminate jobs.
Yeah, they did.
The owl is
And
in worse
then-
shape today than it was.
And then you had a rippling effect over to here,
Yeah,
of course. All you know, the Paisley Mosquito Fest is 2 Saturdays out, next Saturday, not this coming, if you can make that.
we could make that. What weekend is that?
25th, last weekend of July.
That happened there, I know that happened every year.
Mhm.
Fish fry.
Yeah, fish fry? Where?
It's family reunion and you're not related to me, not even,
No, wait a minute,
not
wait a
even
minute, wait a
in
minute.
thoughts, I guess.
I met somebody in Burns yesterday that's related to you.
Yes, yes, I got the text, yes.
And in further discussing, he and I could be related too. So maybe you ought to extend your invitation to a fish fry to your family.
There's a small cover charge. You're welcome to come.
So you two are cousins now?
We can determine that by like our solar thing, we can change it at any time. So,
Anyway, that's all I got.
That's interesting. Cousin Brad and cousin Ken.
now then,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
you're related too, so you wanna have that debate?
No?
No, okay. I think we're pretty good. Denise, just out of the blue, any department updates from you?
I'm just working on getting my proposals ready for our vehicle purchases. Just normal.
Okay. With
I
that,
am gone, starting later this afternoon to go register Jeremiah at Oregon State, so
well,
Cool.
it starts at 8 in the morning, did I hear you tell me earlier?
9 o'clock.
So you'll probably be leaving pretty shortly, very soon.
I gotta wait for him to get off work anyway, so.
Yeah. All right, so 18 minutes after 11, we will adjourn our regular session at this time.